Welcome back. It's 8:40 right now. It's been almost a week since former First Lady Barbara Bush died, and before she died, we all learned she had decided to decline medical intervention that may have prolonged her life. What will you do, and what does the law allow you to do when you or someone you love has to make that decision? Well, here with what you need to know is consumer lawyer Shari O. And Shari, I assume it is such a tough decision. Refusing medical treatment is legally allowed, but how can you explain how that works?
Well, and Barbara Bush, of course, knew the laws, so she followed them. The laws pretty much consistently, all layers point in the direction of approving, refusing medical care, if that's what you want to do. So it starts with the Constitution, which the Supreme Court has determined actually includes a right to privacy and a right to personal autonomy, which extend to medical situations like this. At the level of other federal laws, Congress passed, quite some time ago, the Patient Self-Determination Act, which, among other things, says that at the end of a patient's life, medical facilities need to listen to their wishes. Most states have statutes, including our own, which has language mirroring that. And even the medical profession itself, John, requires informed consent in order for a doctor to administer a procedure. It could be considered a battery if they don't have informed consent. So consistently along all lines, we support this concept. Where it gets a little dicey, though, is when an individual may not be completely competent, their wishes may not be completely known, or this is a personal right. It's personal to you. It can't automatically extend to your family members. So, for example, when a parent tries to make decisions for a child that are life-threatening type decisions, sometimes the court will intervene.
Well, sometimes, you hear people say, I'm ready to go. And so that's their prerogative. Medical treatment, they refuse medical treatment, but then why is assisted suicide not allowed?
Right, it's a thin line there. Yeah. So the laws actually point in exactly the opposite direction when it comes to euthanasia or the right to die or assisted suicide. The Supreme Court has actually determined that the Constitution does not give us that right. Congress has not ever passed any federal laws, and in fact most states, including our own, consider helping someone to commit suicide to be a crime. You can go to jail for doing that. And there are good reasons for that. I mean, we need to balance our personal choices with society's obligation to protect individuals from themselves. For example, in countries where they allow that, like the Netherlands, what do you do with someone who's severely depressed and says they want to commit suicide rather than take medication, or an elderly person who happens to have a lot of assets and happens to not be speaking with their family members, and then the family members try to induce them to commit suicide? So we see states here, there's about a dozen that have approved it, that try to balance that. California, for example, says you're allowed to commit assisted suicide, but you have to have 2 physicians determine that you're terminally ill, less than 6 months to live, you're competent, and then you have to have 2 witnesses see you make that request, and you have to administer the drugs yourself. Well, so it's a slippery slope.
It is, and a lot to digest, and unfortunately that's all we have time for today. But thank you. I hope that opens up a lot of eyeballs out there and gets that conversation going about your right to life, etc. All right, thank you so much. Let's go back over to Holland.
There are a lot of tough issues that veterans face.